There is an injury problem in Indianapolis. We've got to figure out what's at the bottom of it. Who do we blame for all of these injuries, or is it just one of those freak normal things that happens to professional organizations? Because right now, it sure seems like the Indianapolis sports teams have an almost an unfair amount of injuries, and they're not just mild injuries. Some of them are season ending injuries. Of course, we saw what happened with Tyrese Halliburton with the Pacers. He's certainly not alone. Now you've got Colts and Fever being impacted. Let's talk about it. It is a special edition of the Sports Rush here on a Saturday. I am Brett Rump. Don't forget, while you're tuned in, make sure you click that subscribe button. We want to add you as a subscriber. You can always give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, and share the channel. We certainly appreciate everything that you do to help this channel grow. Make sure you keep up with the latest of what's happening with Indiana and Northeast Indiana sports. And do not be missing out on our high school football picks of the week because they are coming up soon. But let's talk about injuries because that's the storyline right now in Indianapolis. Devastating news for the Indiana Fever. They lose. We all know about the blonde twins with Lexi Hull and Sophie Cunningham and how, they're both tall, they're slender, they're blondes, they're pretty, they wear matching outfits. We all know about those two. But two other players that play very similar styles of basketball, both kind of run the point, both of them smaller guards, but both Ari McDonald and Sydney Colson out for the season for the Indiana Fever. And it happened the same night in the game against Phoenix on Thursday night. And so this leaves the Fever shorthanded because, of course, Caitlin Clark is still out. They'll only have 9 available players when they play Chicago, which is another team that is dealing with a long list of injuries. But the Indiana Fever has to go at least one missed game by a player to qualify to pick up an emergency backup or an emergency signing due to injury, whatever they call it. But there's choices here for the Fever on what they do. Certainly losing Ari McDonald and Sydney Colson at a time when Caitlin Clark is not playing is critical because now you have to move Kelsey Mitchell probably to the primary point guard position. I would assume. I mean, it may be point guard by committee. I'm not exactly sure how this is going to work out. Kelsey Mitchell, to me, would be the most logical choice. But the problem is she's been so good as a 2 guard that it's kind of crushing to have to move her to the point where she's the primary ball handler and distributor. And then who comes in and replaces her? Because you just took 2 players, very similar, 5'8", 5'6", couple of smaller guards that are no longer available. This is critical for the Indiana Fever at a time in the year when you do not want to be shuffling around the roster any more than you have to because the playoffs are just around the corner, about a month away. So this is tough news. But the Fever, like we said, they do have options. They certainly can pick up medical replacements, but what might happen, because almost every player in the WNBA has a contract that's expiring at the end of this year. And the reason for that is quite simple. The new CBA is probably going to significantly increase pay, and everybody wanted to have the opportunity to be part of the new CBA the first year in its existence. And so every player negotiated a contract that virtually ends at the end of this season. So, there's a handful that still have contracts. Don't think every single player. But my understanding is both of these players have contracts expiring, and so you could simply waive them. They're going to be free agents anyway at the end of the year. You could waive them. They're not going to play for somebody else. So nobody else is going to go out and rush to sign them and put them on this year's salary cap and put them into this year's roster when they can't play. So you'd have had to negotiate for next year anyway. So it wouldn't be the most foolish thing to do is to just let them go. And it's not cold blooded. You have to do what you need to do to replace them on the roster. And the easiest way to replace them on the roster is to free up the money and be able to go out selectively find someone that you can sign that maybe can help you. But it's just past the trade deadline, so there's not going to be any help in making a trade. I don't know that the Fever really had the assets to be able to make a trade. Right now, you didn't see a bunch of players being traded around, although J.C. Shelton, I thought it was interesting. She got traded from the Sun to the Mystics. And of course, she and Caitlin Clark have had their confrontations this year. And of course, Sophie Cunningham, that was the player that Sophie Cunningham took down, and it completely made Sophie Cunningham a viral sensation. But that player now doesn't play for the Sun, who the Fever only play one more time this year. She now plays for the Mystics, who the Fever will play twice more. And so they will run into her a couple of more times, which makes that kind of interesting. But I'm not sure that the Fever would have been able to make a trade, so I'm not sure exactly what they're going to do. But this is critical news with the loss for the rest of the season of both Arie McDonald and Sydney Colson. And we'll follow the progress of what the Fever do and try to get that onto our next video or our live show this weekend. Also, the Indianapolis Colts, and they were so high on the rookie corner. In fact, he was possibly going to be a starting corner for the Colts this year. Corner, Corner, not Quarter, cornerback, Justin Wally out of Minnesota. Apparently, he'd been putting on a show during camp, playing very well, and now he is lost for the season. And the Colts have to figure out what they're going to do at corner. They've got a couple of guys at corner that are now injured, and you've got to figure it out. Who is now going to start, and how much of a hit do you take from a talent perspective? A position that it looked like the Colts had strengthened up with draft and with free agent signings. And now you have to kind of wonder how much stronger will it be if you start getting hit by injury. And then, of course, we've got to talk, too, about the injury to Anthony Richardson. I know it's a freak thing that happened, and I talked about it in my last video. If you didn't see it, you should probably go back and watch it, about the fact that Anthony Richardson really brought this on himself by not having any type of vision to the right half of the field. I mean, when you drop, you've got to be able to see what the defense is doing, where the holes are. You can't just look at one side of the field because, number one, you draw the defense. Number two, you also don't see what's happening in the other half. And this was the case with Anthony Richardson. He dropped back. You can watch his vision. He is glued on the left third of the field where he had two receivers running routes. He had his two safety or outlet receivers that were running routes on the right side. And the back was coming out of the backfield, and you had an outside wide receiver curl into about a 5-yard space. And that's really where the ball should have gone, because that's where they stunted and ran the blitz with that linebacker on that side. Anthony Richardson never saw it coming, never got the read because he didn't see that half of the field, almost that 2/3 of the field. And so not only does he get smoked when he gets run over, and you say from his blind side because he wasn't looking that direction, but for most quarterbacks, that's the front side. The blind side is usually on your backside. Usually it's around your left tackle that you have to be concerned with a right-handed quarterback. In this case, the rush came what should have been right into Anthony Richardson's face, and he still didn't see it coming. And he still didn't get rid of the ball quickly when the rush came unprotected, nobody blocking. I mean, that's one of those where you've got to see he's got a clean path, and you've got to get rid of it. And you did have a couple of receivers that you could have gotten the ball to quickly on that right side. He wasn't looking that direction. But what do we make of these injuries? The Pacers had their series of injuries. Tyrese Halliburton was basically lost for the season at the end of last season, and the season he's lost for is the coming season. It just seems like is there something snake bit? Is it something with the medical staff? What is happening? And Caitlin Clark. Now, we all know she worked out and built mass and built muscle. Because of the pounding that she took last year, she decided to bulk up a little bit. And I still think there's a connection between her bulking up and her being prone to some of these muscle injuries. These aren't orthopedic injuries that she suffered. I mean, she's had hamstring and quad and groin. I mean, all of these are muscular injuries. And I think the correlation between building up bulk and then getting hurt and having to deal with nagging injuries with your muscles, it certainly ties together. I mean, it is connected somehow. I'm convinced. But who supervised that strength and conditioning program? Did she do it on her own? Did she have somebody from the Fever staff, Pacers staff, somebody that supervised what she was doing and had a laid out plan of how to develop muscles but not risk injury? Because it seems to me like that's what's happened with Caitlin Clark. She bulked up, and you can't pull a muscle if you don't have a muscle. But my question is, the bigger the muscle, is it more likely to pull? Does it require special stretching? I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm asking the question, somewhat hypothetically. So I guess the question for you to answer on our comments is, what's the deal in Indy? What's the deal with Caitlin Clark? Should Tyrese Halliburton have been playing in Game 7? What was the percentage of risk? Now, I've heard all kinds of reports and stories about the risk and what the medical staff believed the risk was, what Tyrese Halliburton believed the risk was, but we've seen it happen a number of times where players come back thinking they're okay and snap goes the Achilles, especially on a calf injury, a calf strain or a calf injury. But yeah, the injuries are adding up. And you've got multiple teams now here in Indiana with the Colts, the Fever, and the Pacers all having to make adjustments because of season-ending injuries. Hey, don't forget, subscribe, like, that's the thumbs up. Make sure you click the bell to get the alerts of when we post here on the Sports Rush. And share the channel with your friends, and make sure you link us on all of your social media. We would really appreciate that. Look for our videos and our shorts. And of course, once a week, we have a live show where if you're sitting on the edge of your couch and you're thinking, man, I got to comment, I've got to get some interaction or some engagement with that dude. Well, bring it. I'd love to have it. Any kind of discourse is good discourse. So let's go. But we'll be doing the live show sometime over the weekend. We'll keep you posted. Make sure you follow me at Brett Rump Sports on X. That's the best place to keep up. Or you can follow us on the show account. But have a great weekend. Enjoy it. I know here in Fort Wayne, beautiful weather, 90 degrees, sunshine. Hopefully there won't be a storm that pops up, so you can enjoy all of your outdoor activities or maybe enjoy some time at the lake. We'll talk to you again soon.